momentum. Southside has not let their foot off the gas pedal for the most part tonight.
It's just a little too much beef up front for Southside, and Southside is making great adjustments against them.
Look at that penetration from the Southside defense as you had basically the entire front line, and also Griffin, the linebacker, Griffin Frazier, rather, the linebacker, along with Colton Johnson, the defensive end, lead the charge on the tackle.
Well, what they're doing is they're aligning themselves based on formations. You know, you give me a tight formation, I'm going to give you a five-man front walking the linebackers down on the line. So basically you got about 9 in the box.
4th down and 2. Cochran back out for the punt. Cole Cochran, 6 foot 195 senior, gets a spiraling punt off, and nobody back deep for Southside as they'll come to a stop inside the 30 at the 28-yard line. 1st down and 10 coming up for Southside as they're looking to basically at this point put some icing on the cake almost at the halfway point of the third quarter. We'll be making the trip up across the Coosa River tomorrow night, up to Cherokee County High School, Center, Alabama. Blair Auto Body brings us our third quarter. The annual rivalry matchup between Piedmont and Cherokee County. Piedmont looking to shake off what was a rough performance at home at the Field of Champions against Jacksonville last week. Jacksonville, another team around our region to pay attention to this season. Under Coach Jeremy Sullivan, his second season. Counter give to Gray. Solid room and pretty solid run for Gray as he gets close to the 35-yard line. Slow developing play on the counter. An opportunity looks like for Miles Holcomb to maybe open up the playbook a little bit more to just see what his team does with it. In what's a fairly safe scenario for them up 4 scores.
Well, I think you got a holding penalty right there.
It looks as if it will indeed come on back and go against the team in white. Paul Coggins tells us a hold. Also, the amount of penalties, especially early in the season, not a complete surprise as well with the teams. For Southside, their second game in Hooks Bluff, their first, still trying to get their bearings under them as far as live play this year. Play fake. Throw complete on the throwback screen. And nice containment by Hooks Bluff as they're able to negate, or at least hold Rickles to modest yardage on that screen pass. Maybe about 5 yards, but a second and very long to get. First and long, rather, now second and long, and still behind the sticks is the Southside offense. Just inside their own 25-yard line. A touchdown rushing so far for Morris tonight. Low snap and a quick throw, Davenport complete. Good blocking to the near side, breaks the tackle, does Davenport. As he'll lunge forward, and he has a Southside first down. Nice patience and good strength shown that time on the Big Oak Garage first down effort by Davenport.
Oh, he showed great effort right there. That was a great cutback. You know, he gave him the old school dead leg, and they were able to pick up 3 or 4 more yards after that, and that's what you want. You want those little guys in space that are hard to tackle.
Looks as if a flag behind the play. Sam Berry also a little bit shaken up for Hooks Bluff. Hooks Bluff lost their final 5 games last year after starting 4-1 on the year. And I tell you what, when we saw them against Southside, and we probably thought a lot of promise for them to start the 2025 season, then won convincingly the next week against Etowah. And really after about the midway point, things just kind of fell apart for them down the home stretch. And they had a couple of close losses as well, some narrow one-possession losses that did keep them out of the postseason. We'll have a stoppage and play, a heat timeout with 5:48 to go in the third quarter. It's all Southside up 28-0.
At Farmers and Merchants Bank, we're showing off our school spirit with our newly designed vertical Spirit debit cards. Now, these are customized with your favorite school's logo, and half of every Spirit card purchased goes toward your school. So, show off your colors and support your local school with the FNN Spirit debit card. You can learn more at fnn.bank. Member FDIC.
A tough start to 2026 for Hokes Bluff, down 28-0. But Southside, they're a quarter and a half away from going 2-0 on the season. Eddie, looking at last year's campaign in 2025 for Coach Rob and Hokes Bluff, mentioned they started 4-1 on the season, a great rivalry win to start the year at Southside, and then they had what turned out to be a very good win against Glencoe in the middle of the season, 49-21, but they had close losses against Cherokee County as well as Asheville and Oneonta that kind of ruined the season from there.
Right, and that, don't take but one or two of those, man, and, kids start losing momentum and all, they got to be able to push through like that and win a couple of close games.
First down and 10 at the 44 of Hokes Bluff. Here's Gray. Not that much, but to the 41-yard line. Able to kind of dance around a couple of tackles was Mason Gray. Gray had a touchdown called back earlier this evening. Had a receiving touchdown at the end of the first half against Chelsea last week. Also, the Southside defense able to come up with a late safety to put the cherry on top in their season-opening win. And then also take a look as far as last year's journey for the return trip to Southside for Miles Holcomb. And they had some close calls as well in region play. Morris wants to load and throw, and that's a little bit shy of his intended receiver, incomplete. Looked as if 6'5" Hassel was almost there to make a big-time catch.
Well, all they had to do was put it on him. He led him too much on that. All they had to do is throw it to him, and you let him play jump ball on that. Whoever he got with him, you just throw it up and let him go get it.
We might see Anderson Hassel at some point later on this season. 6'5", and including this season, opposing teams will have 3 seasons to have to deal with Anderson Hassel. Also, 3 more seasons, including this year for Christian Morris, as here's the flip to Gray. Turns it up and gets popped shy of the first down. And that's a solid tackle. Looks as if Brennan Ward at that time on the tackle. So Gray able to get about 5 or 6 yards that time. Our third quarter brought to you by Blair Auto Body Repair. Fourth down upcoming. So Southside, they're going to need about 5 yards to go. We played almost 8 minutes of this third quarter. Southside led 14-0 after the first quarter as they'll let the play clock wind down before calling the timeout. We'll take it with them. 4:01 to go third quarter. It's Southside 28 and Hokes Bluff nothing.
At Farmers and Merchants Bank, we're showing off our school spirit with our newly designed vertical Spirit debit cards. Now, these are customized with your favorite school's logo, and half of every Spirit card purchased goes toward your school. So, show off your colors and support your local school with the FNN Spirit debit card. You can learn more at fnn.bank. Member FDIC.
Season number 16 of the FNN High School Football Game of the Week off the ground this week here in Hokes Bluff, Alabama. Mike Robertson Field for the season opener for Hokes Bluff, as it has been a rather rough going out of the gate for the Eagles here in 2026, but just the opposite for the most part for Southside. on their way in about 16 minutes and a second from going 2-0 this year. 4th and 5 for Christian Morris and the Panthers offense. Morris throws over the middle and has his receiver with a flag on the play complete to Deacon Garrett as he's wrapped up at the 10-yard line and looks as if might have a face mask go on the back end of the play as well.
That was a great throw right there. Great patience right there.
A couple of big-time catches so far tonight for Deacon Garrett as he was able to make about a 75-yard catch late in the first half, and this time what right now is a 29 or so yard first down grab on 4th and 5. But hold everything. We have a penalty behind the play and in the defensive backfield. So for Mr. Paul Coggins. So it looks as if an ineligible receiver on Southside. And then a personal foul face mask. And so we'll do the 4th down and 5 all over again. So wipe out the red zone trip for now. But I see some growth already, Eddie, in Christian Morris. Certainly the raw physical tools, especially with his arm. But he'll be, if Southside wants to have a successful season, especially in region play in their big games, Christian Morris is going to have some games where he's going to have to carry them with his arm.
Absolutely. And I think he's making good reads right now. Receivers running good routes. They're coming, wide open. So, yeah.
Timeout with 3:52 to go in the third quarter. And we'll talk a little bit as far as our game tomorrow night, Piedmont and Cherokee County. And remember, Piedmont got in one of their tone setters early in the season last year over at the Field of Champions in what was a 24-8 win over Cherokee County, and really kind of felt a lot larger of a dominant victory than the score would indicate for Piedmont last year.
Mm-hmm.
And Cherokee County looking to return the favor this year, but with a new head coach, as we've talked about, Bailey Blanchard, who had a great debut campaign for him as a head coach just down the street over at Glencoe last year, taking them to their first playoff appearance in 10 years. He'll take over for Jacob Kelly this year up in center.
Well, I think you're going to see a lot of emotions in that game, too, because Cherokee County, felt like that at the start that they were just as good as Piedmont was, and they actually felt like they, should have came in and won that game. But Piedmont was pretty doggone good last year, so, yeah.
We saw more than a few times last year as far as Raleigh Pinto helping them get to victory. Here's Morris, steps up, and he will not get the first down, as he may get about a yard or two trying to scramble. But we could hear some of the folks as far as trying to get Christian Morris to throw the football down the field. Decides just to tuck the football, and it'll be a turnover on downs.
Yeah, he probably held on to it too long. He got to throw that up and give his big guy a chance to go up and get that. Like I said, you got a big height advantage. So even if you throw an interception down there, it's just like a punt. So give yourself a chance.
Eddie, if we were covering Southside every week, I'd be very excited to see how Anderson Hassel would grow as a football player week to week as the season progresses.
Well, you have to get a big guy a chance right there, man. It's just not giving him a chance,
Nothing doing for Hale, as he's been the man that's carried the ball almost exclusively tonight in the backfield for Hoax Bluff. Brennan Ward has gotten a handful of carries. Dean Morgan a couple of bootlegs tonight. They're at Etowah next Friday. Their first region game in 3A Region 6. And then Southside, tough task for them at home in 2 weeks in 5A Region 6 against Clay Chalkville. Coming up on 3 minutes to go, third quarter. Play action. Throw down the field into coverage, incomplete. As the intended receiver that time was the freshman Javen Norman. Looked like the safety, Brooks, not fooled by the play action as he was able to play a very solid center field.
Yeah, he did a great job, You talking about House of James. One year I had a basketball player named Marquavius Frazier, and he had never played at the high school level, but he was 6'3". And I kept trying to explain to him, tell him how to run a fade, and he couldn't get it. So I just called to play rebound. And, I said, you know how to rebound? He said, yes, sir. I said, hey, we're going to throw it up. You just go rebound it.
Hale breaks out of one tackle and another as you have some support in the back end along the defensive front from Jaden McElrath. Fourth down coming up. Brennan Hale able to muscle his way for about 5 yards, but it's punting time now for Hoax Bluff. After the couple of disappointing outings against Hoax Bluff in the last 2 seasons for Southside, they would love to go on the road, finish this one off with a shutout tonight.
Yeah, and I think that's what they're doing because they're playing off a lot of emotion right now. So, and that could be part of the problem for all the penalties, but still, you got to get that cleaned up.
We'll have a whistle and a stoppage in play from the officials. Coming into tonight, Hoax Bluff had led the series against Southside, 41 wins to 32 losses and 3 ties, including 2 consecutive wins in this series. It's like a delay of game penalty goes on Hoax Bluff. Coming up on the final couple of minutes here in the third quarter. A big thank you for joining us again this season on the FNN High School Football Game of the Week. Garrett to return. Maybe the best punt of the night for Cochran as the fair catch called for at the 30-yard line by Garrett. Another offensive possession for Southside and Christian Morris, the sophomore. Kind of that in-between territory right now, Eddie, as far as how long, if you're Miles Holcomb, do you keep Christian Morris in this ball game, especially with this being a non-region game?
Right.
Now, as we've mentioned a few times now, a week off coming up after this ball game, but they have maybe their toughest game of the season in 2 weeks. So you definitely want as many of your starters healthy going into that game if you're Miles Holcomb. Rickles dodges a tackler and almost another as he gets tripped up on the ankles just shy of the first down. And a solid open field tackle that time from Bubba Leatherwood, the sophomore cornerback. And looks as if there is a player down in the backfield. It's like another Hoax Bluff player went down and able to get right back up. Alan Cox, the veteran defensive back. Kind of a hybrid between a DB and a linebacker. The team's place kicker now the last couple of years for Coach Robb. So 3 more substitutions. Check that, a couple more set to check in for Hoax Bluff.
And I think if they score off this possession, get a good clean run, I think you'll see them pull his starters.
You have into the ball game now Kane Russell at tight end as Morris drops back. Under pressure, throws and gets his check down receiver complete across the 45, and that is good enough for a first down. Good presence of mind that time. We've seen some questionable decisions tonight in certain instances for Morris, but that was not one of those.
Right, he got rid of it. He first read was deep, and he came down to his second read, which was Hauser sitting on the left side. And you can't go wrong throwing it to the big receiver on the side.
Big Oak Garage with providing the first down. Well, at least what we think is a first down.
Well, he got a hole again.
So wipe off that completion to Hassel. Should be a very exciting offense that Miles Holcomb has for him this season with a capable running back in Miles Rickles that's already scored 3 times tonight. Mason Gray, a good change of pace back in the backfield as well. And then Deacon Garrett, an explosive, capable receiver as well. And always physical offensive lines that Southside has had over a number of years now. Under 90 seconds to go, third quarter. Morris, quick throw. Hassel complete across the 35-yard line as Hassel. It doesn't that wingspan. It doesn't take him very much to get some yards with that wingspan as he's able to go across the 40-yard line.
That's why I say you have to give him a chance on those plays down there. You throw it down there, like I said. Hey, you go trips right or trips left, rebound. Tell him throw it up and let him go get it.
Well, you know they'll have, especially in their bigger games this season, a lot more opportunities for those fade patterns in the red zone. There's also Miles Rickles. He's done a fantastic job tonight with close to 100 yards. Morris down the field, has a receiver in stride, complete to Hassel as he's inside the Hoax Bluff 10-yard line. And that was a gorgeous pass that time from Christian Morris.
Well, he ran out and up. If you look at the replay, he went out and then he went up. We just caught the back side of it. He did a 5 and out, and then he turned it up. And
Eddie, that was a Saturday play from the combo of Morris to Hassel.
Absolutely. Hassel just need a little more giddy up and go in his step. If he'd had it, he'd have walked in the end zone.
Ball inside the 5 at the 4-yard line. A Beans and Greens red zone trip.
We'll give it to Rickles there.
Rickles up the middle, and we have a flag on the play. Touchdown right now for us outside. But hold everything. Let's see who gets called on the penalty. You take a look at right now what would be the 4th touchdown of the evening for Rickles, and I think it looks as if it's going to stay that way. And it looks as if the early indication is that penalty is on Hoax Bluff. And even 25 seconds to go in the third quarter. And indeed, Hoax Bluff with the penalty. Might have been a face mask. No worries, though. Rickles from 4 yards out, touchdown, number 4 on the night.
There's 4 that count and 1 that got called back.
That's right. That's right. So runs of 13, 33, and then the last 2 of 4 yards for Miles Rickles. Mr. Reliable, Cooper Yancey on for the PAT.
Well, Yancey's going to have to take an ice bath.
So hold everything. We've got a flag on the play. 25 seconds to go here in the third quarter. An offside. Kind of a meaningless offside for Hoax Bluff. Cooper Yancey did not miss an extra point in 4 tries last Friday, and so far has been successful on 4 tries tonight. It's always a luxury at the high school level, even at the higher classifications, Eddie, when you know you have money in the bank with a reliable place kicker.
Absolutely, man. That's, a lot of high school teams have issues with getting good place kickers now, but hey, that's when you got one like Yancey, hey, that's
the left-footed kicker boots it through. We'll take the timeout. 25 seconds left, third quarter. It's now Southside 35 and Hoax Bluff nothing.
At Farmers and Merchants Bank, we're showing off our school spirit with our newly designed vertical Spirit debit cards. Now, these are customized with your favorite school's logo, and half of every Spirit card purchased goes toward your school. So, show off your colors and support your local school with the FNN Spirit debit card. You can learn more at fnn.bank. Member FDIC.
The final seconds of the third quarter, a Sunny Days Pool Service and Supplies kickoff for Cooper Yancey. End over end kick. Goes to Hale inside the 5. Sutter steps and tripped up about the 20-yard line. So I think, Eddie, we might have an idea as far as the ejected player for Southside, and I think it was Colton Johnson, one of their primary defenders, one of their best defenders actually along the defensive line. They got the early trip to the showers tonight. A penalty that personal foul and sportsmanlike conduct penalty that, according to the officials, was severe enough to end his night early.
Well, he'll be getting as they say, he got $300 charged to his charge card.
There you go. Hale up the middle for what should be the final play of the third quarter, as that results in nothing thanks to the swarming Southside Panthers defense. And that should bring us to the end of the third quarter, where Southside laying it on and flexing their muscle on this Thursday night to close out the month of August for their early season schedule. One more quarter to go. It's Southside 35 and Hoax Bluff nothing.
At Farmers and Merchants Bank, we're showing off our school spirit with our newly designed vertical Spirit debit cards. Now, these are customized with your favorite school's logo, and half of every Spirit card purchased goes toward your school. So, show off your colors and support your local school with the FNN Spirit debit card. You can learn more at fnn.bank. Member FDIC.
Many thanks to Blair Auto Body for presenting us our third quarter tonight on the FNN High School Football Game of the Week to get us off to a good start so far this season. Southside 12 minutes away from improving to 2-0 on the season. Hoax Bluff football to begin the fourth quarter. Counter give. Hale has had to fight for yards practically on every carry so far tonight as he advances on second down across the 20-yard line to the 21-yard line. But I imagine with the type of effort we typically see in grittiness from Hoax Bluff year in and year out from Coach Rob, that they're going to have a lot better nights. And this is just going to be one of those games that you learn a lot, especially as far as young players from an opponent like Southside. Third down and 8. Bootleg action. Morgan breaks out of one tackle, and he should and does have a Hoax Bluff first down. Good effort shown that time. One of the best efforts tonight from Dean Morgan. 6'2", 190, a senior, but this is his first year to start at quarterback, replacing Bryce Whitaker.
That was a great run by him. Defensive end didn't help out none. He went on the inside. He should have forced the play back to the inside.
Big Oak Garage brings you that Dean Morgan first down. A gain of 8 yards on third and long. It's like a new running back in the ball game as Morgan calls his own number close to the 35, around the 34-yard line. Should see a lot of running for both teams early in the season. We talked about earlier in the ball game for Coach Rob as far as thinking of the big picture for the rest of the season for his team. As right now we've got, looks like a Hoax Bluff player down. And you know all too well, Eddie, as far as Coach Rob, Miles Holcomb, hey, you want to make sure you have your players as healthy as possible for when the games really count in September and October.
Right, all your area games you want to make sure, because when you go to playoffs, you want to try your best to get that first game at home. You know, you want to play in front of your home crowd.
10.5 minutes to go, and that is one thing that was, as far as just the formatting for the HSAA that they've had since 2000, the region play, that was able to stick around through the massive transition in the offseason. I'm kind of wait and see on how, especially with the private schools, how it fares. But I think there may be some more long-term, probably positive effects as we go further, depending on how that shakes out in the private school portion now with the HSAA. A run up the middle for Brenton Hale. Of course, Westbrook Christian, that was in Class 3A for the last several seasons there. We'll be seeing them here pretty soon as far as their single A division region play against Mars Hill. That'll be a big game for Westbrook Christian coming up in a couple of weeks to open region play. Actually, check that. That's next week. So actually, region play does start next week as Etowah will take on Hoax Bluff at home next week for Hoax Bluff's next game. Tough running for Hale across the 35 to the 37-yard line. And then as far as the HSAA, Glenwood, Tuscaloosa Academy, Pike Liberal Arts were a couple of those basically founding members of the AISA that moved up into the HSAA in 2023. Fort Dale Academy, another one of those that just entered the HSAA this season. And, of course, Pickens Academy, one of those teams along with Tuscaloosa Academy in Glenwood joining a couple of seasons ago. Fourth down punt. Cochran gets a pretty solid punt off as Deacon Garrett calls for and receives the fair catch at the 34-yard line. I imagine, Eddie, as we get to see Piedmont tomorrow, that with Jonathan Miller's teams the last couple of years, especially considering, remember, they lost to Mars Hill in both 24 and 25 in the semifinal rounds. You got to imagine with some of those Raleigh Pinto-led teams, either of those years in this setup, this format, at least one more blue map might have been in the trophy case up in Piedmont.
Yep, well, you'd have thought, with especially what he had last year, that's pretty tough last year. But I think, they going to go through a rebuilding phase right now, and it's going to
Here's Gray. Good run as he's repped up, and a flag probably for a face mask, because that was actually a pretty good effort on the tackle by safety Javen Norman. Norman, just a freshman. He'll have definitely a lot of leadership responsibility as he gets further into his football career the more he develops. And there's the face mask call going on Hoax Bluff. Piedmont drops down to 2A this year. And then basically most of, probably about 3 out of 4 of your public schools in the HSAA moved down one classification from last year to this year. Oxford actually one of those that did not move down a classification this year. And I think Anniston and Alexandria as well stayed in Class 4A.
Absolutely.
And I believe Cherokee County also another one of those teams that did not move either way a classification. Good running room for Gray as he zigzags his way through the defense. Sees the goal line in sight, but taken down inside the 5. Mason Gray showing a little bit of vision that time. A Big Oak Garage first down carry and also a Beans and Greens red zone trip, serving us another Southside red zone trip.
I think they're going to let him punch it in right here. He got his first one called back, so I think to kind of give him a confidence builder, you got to give it to him. You got to give him at least 2 tries to get it in.
First and goal from the 3. Here's Gray. Dances around the tackle and then slammed down for about a yard.
It may have been a little winded after that play. Looked like it took him a while to get started.
Well, he'll be shaking off that last tackle as well as we're already under 8 minutes to go in the ball game. False start brings it back 5 yards.
Okay, so he'll get another chance.
Be interested to see what Miles Holcomb tells Shasta after the ball game as far as his overall assessment of tonight for Southside.
I don't think he'll be pleased with the penalties. Like I said, it hadn't been a very clean game. I just think both sides. There's just too many penalties, both ways. And, with a veteran coach like Coach Rob and Coach Holcomb, I think they'll be disappointed in the penalties that each team has gotten.
Delay give goes to Gray. Lowers the shoulders and plunges inside the 10 to about the 7-yard line. Take a look at the journey coming up, as we've mentioned, following their next game in a couple of weeks for Southside. A week off this week, and then they'll have one of the top teams in the state coming up in Class 5A in Clay Chalkville, and then they go to Pinson Valley on the 18th. Host Etowah and Springville to go into October, and then 3 of their last 4 on the road. Gray, off right tackle, dives forward across the 5-yard line, and then 3 of the last 4 for Southside in the regular season at Pell City, at Oxford, home against St. Clair County, and then a non-region game to close out the year at Anniston.
I think you got to give him that counter, give him something to get outside right now. I still would give him a chance, but I think you got to run a counter or something to kick out somebody.
3rd down and goal from the 5. Moore is still in the ball game at quarterback. Here's Gray on the delay give. Finds some running room, but the hole closes up a little bit quickly that time as Ethan Shields comes up to make the tackle for Hoax Bluff. Haven't called Shields' name that much tonight, the outside linebacker, as he contains Gray to a gain of 3, as we'll have a stoppage and play on the field, and we're coming close to the Heat timeout. And looks like an official's timeout, and we'll take the timeout with them. 6:09 to go in the ball game. It's all Southside up 35-0. 6 minutes, 9 seconds to go in our first game of the season tonight on the FNN High School Football Game of the Week. Southside, thanks to 4 Miles Rickles touchdowns, they lead 35-0, and also Christian Morris has his first rushing touchdown of the season in tonight's game. What so far looks to be an overall much improved Southside squad from a 3-7 campaign in 2025.
We got Rickles in there for a decoy, right? We're going to decoy and give it to Gray.
Here's Gray.
There it is.
Dances around it, goes up the middle, and close to the end zone, but I believe short on 4th down. So Hoax Bluff appears able to get a stop at the goal line, as Southside not able to add to their 35-0 lead. Miles Rickles, a career day for him with those 4 touchdowns.
Well, they put him in as a decoy and a lead blocker, but.
And then now the only question is, can Hoax Bluff get on the scoreboard?
Well, it's hard to do it from the 1-inch line right down there, and Southside going to pin their heels back and try to get everything they can.
Hale bangs his way across the goal line to about the 2-yard line. Really, other than the early departure tonight for Colton Johnson, been a pretty solid day for, especially up front for the Southside defense. They held Chelsea to 7 in 4 quarters last week, and they're about 5:20 away from getting their first shutout of the season. 2nd down. Ball at the 3. Good hole for Hale as he's able to cut away from a tackler and gets across the 5 to about the 7-yard line. And I don't think the Southside D had a shutout last season. In fact, no, they didn't even. Eddie, looking at Southside's D last year, they did not hold an opponent, even in their wins, to below 10 points. And so far, if they can maintain this shutout, they would have held their first two opponents to a combined 7 points.
7 points.
Third down and 4. Pitch back goes to Hale as Southside reads it very well and gets the stop. You had about 3 white shirts around that play. Brooks came up from his cornerback, from his defensive back position, and also Griffin Frazier from an outside linebacking position.
Well, I think you'll see a good field position right here. And
if you look at Southside's season last year, they lost 3 of their first 4 ball games, lost 31-14 at Guntersville. Then maybe their worst game of the season to Hoax Bluff, 28-7. Also lost 28-6 at Fort Payne. As a good punt by Cochran, that's dropped just beyond the 45-yard line. As Davenport in to return that punt as he's able to advance it across the 30 to the 29-yard line. They were able to defeat Lee at Huntsville to begin September last year, 38-19. Defeated Etowah 21-10, and then able to survive May Jemison to start October 22-16 in double overtime last year. But like Hoax Bluff, they had a rough finish to the season, losing their last 4 a season ago.
Right.
This is already a much better start to the season for Southside, as they're looking to go 2-0. And I think it's been a while since Southside has had a 2-0 start to the season.
You got a new running back in now.
So, yeah, it looks as if some new players coming in. As you have a pretty good hole up the middle that leads to about a 7-yard gain. So you have Easton Grooms, the freshman, get his first carry of the night.
I think you'll see inside-outside zone pretty much the rest of the time.
Oliver Edgeworth, the backup quarterback, now in the ball game for Southside. Coming toward the final few minutes of tonight's ball game. The snap goes awry, but Edgeworth falls on it back at the 30-yard line. Third down upcoming.
It looked like they killed it before he ever got. Was he on his knee?
Trying to look to see the last time that Southside started 2-0 to a season. Because even in 2023, they lost their season opener, but were able to play some of their best ball in the middle of the season that year. Looks like you have to go all the way back to 2020, the last time that Southside started 2-0. That was a 3-0 start to what was a playoff season and a 7-4 2020 in Class 6A. That was right before Miles Holcomb got to Southside. Grooms around the right side. Lots of running room as he's upended inside the 20-yard line. What probably will be the final Beans and Greens red zone trip tonight for Southside. And that was another close to first down carry for Southside. Officially a Big Oak Garage first down. Coming up on 2:10 to go. Grooms delay give. Thrown down for minimal yardage.
That was too much of a delay on that right there.
Shields came up to help out from his linebacking spot. I imagine we'll be seeing Coach Miles Holcomb following tonight's ball game. A gain of 1 for Grooms. We'll be up in center tomorrow night in less than 24 hours. Our countdown to kickoff at 6:30. Here's the carry for Edgeworth. Around the near side. Slung around inside the 5-yard line. And that might be the final first down we see from this Southside offense, as they're trying to add one more touchdown for the road. 1:22 to go. Just one timeout remaining for Southside. Certainly for Hokes Bluff, they're just wishing this 112 would drain down as fast as possible. A Big Oak Garage first down for Edgeworth. Grooms with the carry. Slices toward the goal line. And he'll be taken down about the 2-yard line. We're under a minute to go in tonight's ball game.
He's outrunning his block right there. He's got to let that block kick out, and then he cut it back up inside.
So Miles Holcomb's been able to get much of his bench in here in the fourth quarter.
They're probably going to get off one more play.
Edgeworth awaits the snap as the give, and thrown down in the backfield is Grooms, as a very solid tackle at that time for the Hokes Bluff linebacker in Brody Morgan, the 6'3", 195-pound freshman. So he'll have a lot of potential this season. As a tough night to open the season at home for Hokes Bluff at Coach Mike Robertson Field, as Southside able to avenge 2 years of misery in the rivalry as they shut out Hokes Bluff on the road 35-0. We'll take this timeout, and we'll talk with Coach Miles Holcomb following this timeout.
At Farmers and Merchants Bank, we're showing off our school spirit with our newly designed vertical Spirit debit cards. Now, these are customized with your favorite school's logo, and half of every Spirit card purchased goes toward your school. So, show off your colors and support your local school with the FNN Spirit debit card. You can learn more at fnn.bank. Member FDIC.
Shuts out Hokes Bluff 35-0. We have Coach Miles Holcomb with Shasta Jones. Having a few issues trying to get it down to the field, as at least a dominating night for Southside tonight. Thanks in really a team effort, but in large part offensively. 4 rushing touchdowns from Miles Rickles, as he had runs of 13 and 33 yards in the first quarter, and then a couple of runs of 4 yards, one in the second and one in the third. And Christian Morris also had a 6-yard touchdown run, his first rushing touchdown of the season, and his 4th total touchdown so far through 2 games this year. Southside improves to 2-0 on the season. Still trying to well, I don't think we'll be able to get it down. We had a few issues as far as trying to get it down to the victorious head coach in Miles Holcomb. But before we go tonight, Eddie, your final thoughts. Don't forget to join us tomorrow night. This will be up at Cherokee County Warrior Stadium, Bobby Joe Johnson Field, for a 6:30 countdown to kickoff and a 7 o'clock kickoff for Piedmont and Cherokee County. So for Shasta Jones and all of our FNN crew, for Eddie Bullock and all of you watching us at home, James Hardy wishing you a great Thursday evening as you have been watching the FNN High School Football Game of the Week.